And good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, Litecoin Leader, with a special guest tonight, Joanna. Joanna, say hi to all the nice people.
Hello to all my fans.
So, Joanna is going to be my co-host this evening, and we're just going to be fielding questions and having a little dialogue for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so as Joanna waits for her next event in her life to transpire, waiting in her car. We got 4 viewers so far. Patrick may or may not be able to join us tonight. As I understand it, Baby G is taking swim lessons, so he may or may not be able to join this time. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Divi Daddy.
Look at that. He did arrive. Hey, we're just telling everybody how Baby G is going to start learn to swim this next couple weeks. So you may or may not be able to join as much.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling a little under the weather, so it's probably better to stay home right now. The market's got me all stomach is just in knots. And I think it's getting me a cold too.
All right. So first off, I'm going to tell Corey I missed the first part of her question. And then we'll talk about what's been going on. We'll talk about what's going on in the crypto, and I'm going to try and center my camera up a little bit. There we go, because 3 people, a little bit skinnier. But so as you for those of you joining, thank you. I'm glad to see everybody here. Drop your questions in the chat, and I'll get to them as we go. But obviously, I think we're going to start with the big story this week, which was Luna, Terra. The terrible news. I had to do the pun. Sorry, but the wacky news that happened with Luna. Patrick, you want to break it down? What sort of happened in the last, I don't know, 3-4 days?
I mean, I can try, right? So
that's all we can do.
As we were watching the markets, it appeared that UST was depegging from its standard of staying at $1. And that started kind of like a cascade of effects. We had no idea what was going to happen after that. Some of us got in and decided we were going to see it go back up to $1. And some of us decided to get out. And some of us are not sure what's going to happen. But what ended up happening is because of that dip, they had to sell a bunch of Luna to kind of balance it back out. And in so doing, Luna lost half the value immediately from $60 to $30. And then again, last night, jump into $15 where I was kind of considering buying. And then this morning you see it go into $1. So, Luna has lost 99% of its value over the last few days. And it's been a pretty terrible catastrophe. It was, there are some people that think there was a coordinated attack, which I believe. There are some people who believe they know who the coordinated attack is from, which I don't ascribe to that position personally, but I guess more will be revealed. Either way, it left a lot of people in a lot of hurt. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it was definitely rough. And the way it works is that it's an algorithmic stablecoin, which means there's not anything backing except the algorithm. The idea was it has UST and it has Luna, and those two swap back and forth based on the availability of the other. If UST gets too high, they'll start to sell UST to get it to more Luna, and vice versa, to burn Luna to create UST. That was the concept. The first red flag that kind of went off was why they had to buy Bitcoin to back that algorithm up in the first place, which was a reasonable question to pose. 2020 hindsight, of course. But as soon as things started to transpire and that Bitcoin started sliding, and then UST started sliding and it depegged, then the only thing left to move was Luna, and then Luna lost a ton of value and just eroded. But it's starting to come back. I mean, UST is at 75 cents now. It was down in the 30s. It's pushing 80 cents last I saw. We'll see how it goes, but it wasn't. This was just the first of many of stable coins that got attacked today. There was
80 cents right now.
Okay, so it's 80 cents now. So what I would expect to happen for Luna to recover, assuming that Luna is going to recover, and I think it will, because they're still a top 50 coin. They have a solid network. They have solid developers. All that stuff is there. And it's still got $1 billion market cap. and somehow UST is even higher, but I think that's kind of liquidity tie-ups. They're just gonna. What's gonna happen is that the UST needs to get closer to $1. And when that starts to stabilize in the 95 cents to $1 range, then the value will start to come back to Luna, because there's no confidence in Luna right now. The confidence is to come back to Terra first, then it'll come back to Luna. But I'm going to start by walking through some of these questions. So Corey, I think, had first two. Okay, so Corey, do you think the UST was on purpose? The picture you put on Telegram today, that was part of the rumor. I think that was the Twitter post that came from probably Charles Hoskinson about like the thoughts that it was related to Sentinel, and I think BlackRock was the potential culprits. I did see on Twitter that
is what they were looking at, Citadel and BlackRock, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I saw that Gemini, like the Gemini was allegedly involved as well as part of a loan, and Gemini came out on Twitter and said that there was no such loan. So it's hard to say. I mean, with a cap, the market cap is not that ginormous. You're talking about a couple $1 billion for both, maybe $10 billion overall would be enough to buy all of US Terra and the Luna project. So when you have low liquidity in a marketplace, it's very manipulatable, if that's even a word. But you can manipulate the heck out of it when it doesn't require a whole lot of capital. So that's basically what's happening. And it wasn't just them. It was also, I'm trying to get myself in the frame here. Let's see. So there was, there's also Justin Sun's Tron, which is another algorithm token, got attacked. Phantoms got attacked. Even Tether was tried to be attacked today. And that's, if you look in the chart, there's a little bit of wobble off of $1. So they did try to see what they could do. And sometimes those are just tests to see how stable it is. But you don't know how good a network is or how good an algorithm is until it gets tested. So this was a big test for Luna. It did not pass. But I think that they will correct. They'll course correct, and they'll get better and stronger for this. Probably won't be this week. But I think they'll, like, if they get, there's the possibility that UST gets back to $1 this week, and then maybe Luna can regroup and start building from there. All right, now Corey had a second part of his question, and I have trouble remembering Corey is male. Well, I'll work on that. The second part was also, do you think it was planned to make cryptos look bad? I think a little bit of combination of in the CBD look good. So if you remember, there's a certain executive order that came out roughly 5 months ago, and they said they put together a timeline of things that are supposed to come out. Well, the first things that are going to come out are slated for June. Reports on how a CBDC will be implemented, potential regulations, all the way out into October, November, December. So the timing is very interesting on this, in that we had a stablecoin attacked. We had several stablecoins potentially attacked. And now we're talking a lot. We see Janet Yellen talking about this. We see Gary Gensler talking about this. And we certainly have people talking all about inflation this week. But yet now they're like, hey, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about CBDCs instead. So there's going to be some misdirection and say, hey, these stable coins are not, they need to be regulated. Look what happened to all the value at Luna. And that's a great story to take to the people and say, hey, we're for the government and we're here to help, and we'll come in and intervene and make all this just perfectly fine, which it won't be. So I expect at some point in time, they're going to announce the universal basic income, the CBDC, and the app all together at once, where you just have to download an app to get the government's new coin. But as long as you play by the rules, you can have it. And there'll be incentive. Like, they may incentivize people if you make, say, $2,000 every 2 weeks, roughly, just picking a number. They may give you $2,200 or $2,300 if you accept it in Fed coin instead of US dollars. So they're going to push this towards you in some way, but you're going to have to comply on the way back. So lots going on there. So
I guess I would even say, I don't think it makes CBDCs look good. I don't think it does anything for CBDCs very much at all. If anything, it'll, maybe give ways for regulation. But at the end of the day, this just makes me think that people are trying too hard to peg to $1. You guys got to start thinking in sats. Stop thinking about putting stuff in the dollar. Because to me, it's like, what's better, the garbage dollar that we sit here? Like, I got a piece of it. It's kind of ripped. I don't really care about it because it's just whatever, right? But at the end of the day, what do we really care about, the dollar or the Bitcoin?
don't go all Max Kaiser on me and just start tearing it up and walking all around for me, please. But I get the sentiment. But the reason that they tie it to the dollar is because everybody's mentally conditioned since birth about saving dollars and prices are in dollars. So that's just what they speak. So you can't teach somebody, if you're going to teach somebody Spanish, you're going to translate it to English back and forth because that's where their native language is. And then you can teach them the next language after that. So we can't get their minds right for sats yet until they start to translate. So we need to translate from dollars over something, and we'll eventually get there. But it's going to take some while.
Remember, it's not a dollar. It's a debt note. See that word? Note. Yeah. And if you look up note, what does that mean? And it's a piece of paper backed by what? Nothing.
Yes.
People still believe it's backed by gold.
Federal Reserve notes.
You're starting to see a lot of, hemorrhage. I would just say that I don't think it does a whole lot for CBDCs. I mean, I just don't see that it, we're not really using them. The narrative isn't really there to support it yet.
It's a story though. It's like they're going to come out and say like, hey, we understand a lot of people were impacted by what happened with Luna and all these other coins because there's a lack of regulation. So this opens the door for Gensler and Yellen and other people that come in and say, hey, you guys really need regulation with these stable coins. We told you guys that's what we do. We're going to regulate this, and now we're going to put forth the federally approved and regulated central bank digital currency. That's how they're going to try and spin it.
And is there any trust in the government? I mean, we carry this around. It's deflating. There's no value. It's dead. When you look at the yuan, is there any value to it? Along with the ruble. I mean, the ruble's going up. And this is doing what? Should I rip it now?
The ruble's going up because it's tied to gold. And it's also has different marketplaces through the BRICS countries that they're making deals in it. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's see if we got any other questions from people out here. Let's see what we got here. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks. DH dropping by. Tom and Mark. Open-minded. Great. Hey, Cardano. Anna. All right. I'm looking for questions here. I wonder if you can use UBI to buy Bitcoin. I seriously doubt that will be permitted purchase. There may be end runs, and we may talk about. We will find those options. Patrick and I will find trading pairs. There may be a step in between, but we will have a Rube Goldberg path to Bitcoin from the UBI. It'll be there. I don't care if it's just a matter of going to Walmart, buying something, returning it, getting something else there, and buying a Litecoin to turn into Bitcoin. We'll figure out a way. We always do. Let's see. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the Jed project. This sounds like Cardano, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a? I'm
not familiar with that one.
I'm gonna look that up for me. I think it's another stable coin, or it's a stable coin. I don't know much about it yet, because I'm looking it up, so I'll have to get back to you on it. But Cardano founder shares latest update on stablecoin, the Jed. What is with the names that they put on this stupid platform?
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. So this is the algorithmic stablecoin that Cardano was going to release, which I'm sure happy that they're going to be rethinking that now.
Yes, good call there. Not a good time to be releasing algorithmic stablecoins. It's not like, and they've tried them in the past. There's been Algorand. There's been other, and actually, by the way, Do Kwon apparently was involved in another project that was another stablecoin that went belly up a couple of years ago. That's not publicly known, but apparently he got doxxed or like something about that he was involved in it. I can't remember the name of it. I think it started with the letter B. It was like the pseudonyms of Rick and Morty to develop that project, but that went up. That died a couple of years ago as well. But stable coins are tough. They really are.
Yeah.
Again, it's not even needed. It's more of a convenience for people that say, like, oh, I could think in dollars. I want to store money in dollars, but I don't want to get out of crypto. So you make this crypto pseudo dollar and do it that way. And no one likes Tether. So like you've got there's still, like, people have asked me, like, USDC is probably my top one. the one from Circle and Coinbase. USD is probably USDC. Terror was growing on a lot of people and growing quickly, but we just saw what that imploded. True USD is still out there and solid. There's other ones that are like PAX and a few others, Binance, not as widely utilized. So I still like, if I'm going to go through a stable coin and I have my choice, USDC is going to be the one I use. Let's see, who else do we got here? Mark's asking about, I remember I talked to Mark earlier today about owning Nexo and converting it to fiat. There are VPN solutions that you can implement, but if people know that, certainly jump on my Telegram or let me know, and I'll get you in touch with Mark, because I know I think his brother has some Nexo coins he's trying to liquidate. So we can take that offline. Let's see, off topic from Open Minded. When will we be able to buy Divi from the app? Well, as I mentioned on my show a couple of weeks ago, Patrick and I are going to be talking once a month about Divi. I also have to talk about Daniel about Theta. He's agreed to do a monthly update on Theta. And I have to talk to Papa Joe, monthly update on Matic. So we need to schedule those out. And I have a lot of interviews to schedule, but we'll get that rolling. But to answer this question, when will we be able to buy Divi from the app? Well, I would say when the fiat on and off ramp are available would be the right answer. But we don't have timelines for that. I do know that typically the Divi Live at 5 is the first Friday of the month, and we did not have that this past week. So I would expect that they delayed that for a particular reason. And Patrick ran away because he knows I'm probably onto something. But as soon as we have the next Live at 5, that will probably be the announcement. That's what I would expect. That's my expectation of why that was pushed and what the next announcement will likely be. And he's got a beverage to hide his smile. So.
Yeah, guys. We already talked about Divi this month, right? So we don't get to do that again because
technically it was last month.
I want to talk about Divi right now. It's kind of pathetic right now. I'm just so sad. Like, Divi's not pathetic. My emotional state is kind of pathetic because I'm just a wreck. It's like, it's terrible right now out there, guys. I feel it. Like, it sucks.
We all feel it. I know Joanna's been telling me she's been feeling like the energy from people. I've been feeling it. I mean, both these guys were on the phone with me last night, and I'm like, I need to walk away for a little while because we were playing the whole Terra Luna game, and we played some again this morning. Now it was much easier to play this morning when it was only $1, and like, sure, I'll buy some at $1. What the heck? Because this was $100 2 months, less than, it was like 2 weeks ago. So if they recover and just get to half of their previous valuation, $1 to $50, not financial advice, of course, but that's an asymmetric market that it would be exhibit A, because now you've seen Luna has been punished for this, rightly or wrongly so. They've been punished for this by the market. When they recover, if UST starts getting closer to $1, that would be a very positive sign to me that Luna is on the path to recovery. They obviously need Do Kwon and the rest of the team have lots of work to do about how do they fix these algorithms so that this doesn't happen again. How do they maybe peg it to Bitcoin or get some collateralization? Who knows? But they have work to do. But the network is running. It's not gone down. It's just a matter of the algorithm is broken or been manipulated. They found a hole in it. So now they're recovering and they're just working through it. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, let me ask you this. The OTC that he chose to take, wouldn't that play a role in it as well? Whereas,
if Doe did take that OTC deal, which the rumor is that someone grabbed a lot of Bitcoin and went directly to him and said, we want to sell Bitcoin for UST. Can we get a deal? And he said, sure, we'll do an over-the-counter deal. So because the reason that they do an over-the-counter deal is because if you're going to sell like thousands of Bitcoins into UST, you will probably suck up a lot of liquidity and screw up the price. So he did that to protect the price. Turns out that was actually the first step to destroying the price, but he didn't know that because as soon as they got the UST, allegedly, they got the UST and then they dumped it on the market, including the other Bitcoin that they had. So now you had two strong sell mechanisms or strong sell signals, Bitcoin going on the market that they're trying to push it down, and allegedly took short positions too. So they make money when they pushed it down. and they're pushing US Terra down by putting it all in the market as well. So now the only thing left to give was the Luna price, and they knew exactly how much there was because of the market cap. So with putting the pressure on there, they just applied more and more pressure to it until like the US Terra depegged, and then Luna started going down. But yes, the over-the-counter, that was a concern. I think that one of the things that may happen going forward is that they may try and get rid of over-the-counter. Maybe that's the way that they do it, because it's a privilege to be able to do over-the-counter versus other people can't. So, and
it's just not with Luna. It's just look at all the rest of the projects. I mean, is it a point of being greedy? It's like, at what point do we get to say what is in the best interest of the project to take an OTC of whatever dollar amount that's huge that, basically subjects the project to what we're seeing now?
Yeah, and this goes back to like the videos that I've been talking about, which is funny. I made it on Sunday, and then like 3 other people made videos on the same topic and put it out there. Was the Cantillon effect? Like whoever gets the money first benefits the most. So an over-the-counter transaction really is kind of that effect. You're actually getting, like, I will buy Bitcoin, let's say whatever Bitcoin is today, let's call it 30,000. I can go over the counter and buy 10,000 Bitcoin for 30,000 without moving the price. But you and I, the other people can't. So if you are a whale in there and you say, I can put millions of dollars in this, but I want to get Bitcoin at this price, I'll even go a little bit above the given price, because if I know it, if I try to do it on Coinbase or another exchange, I'm going to move that price to like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 quickly, because they don't have the supply that I want. So these over-the-counters do have an impact, especially at this, as we get less and less liquidity on these exchanges. Like, they're getting a huge benefit by being able to do this end run around Gemini or Kraken or Binance.
And if a group goes in and does the same thing in OTC and each just say, whatever the amount is, and they all gang up together and do what we just saw. I mean, looking at the different angles that, you can go in on an attack to destabilize whatever crypto it is, just to make, we'll just say government look good, so that it's like, oh, this is an example why you need to like invest in, whatever coin they're going to come out and call it Fed coin or whatever,
Yeah, and I'm just going to go through a couple more questions real quick. You sell BTC now to buy Divi, so that's JS Guard. That will happen when the on and off ramp, and you'll be able to do it for fiat too. But I think in the app now, can you swap with inside the app now, Patrick? I think I've seen some examples of is that beta testing? Okay, so you will be able to swap between Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Divi, all 4 of those, when they upgrade the app. And when the upgrade should include the fiat on and off ramp, hopefully they get both those done at once. I think that's if they're beta testing it now, that means that the app can perform that. So that would be coming next. And I'd love to see the beverage in front of Patrick's face. Okay, so I know what it means. Okay, so Anna. Some people question the timing when Charles spoke about it while Luna was collapsing. Coincidence? First off, I don't think there are coincidences. That's a separate topic altogether. But secondly, crypto Twitter is just antagonistic and brutal to one another. There's been lots of things poking fun at once, and Doe has been very boisterous in the past. So he got some ribbing back for what was going on with this, and well-deserved. Because I think he took a bet that Luna would be at certain points in a certain time, and that's obviously not looking very good. But yeah, so Charles came out, and it was timely because I think at one point Doe said something about Cardano, so it was just his turn to I think that Charles was not as mean-spirited as he certainly could have been, and I don't think he usually is very mean-spirited, but he tries to rise above it, in my opinion. But sometimes he goes a little too he pontificates a little too much, but as people on Twitter tend to do. So, but yes, the timing's a little odd, but I think that somehow he knew. I mean, one of the tweets that came out about the rumors of how this might have gone down, Charles knew. So I think that was actually a good thing for him to put out there, whether it was true or false. At least people get some thoughts about it. Like, who could be manipulating this? Could it be manipulated? How would they manipulate it? I think that's a good discussion point, because as we see with the other tokens that are dealing with this, the other algorithmic stable coins, they're having the same issues. So there's definitely an attack on the entire style of coin. And you need to say it that way, because the stable coins are different. There's stable coins that are backed and tied to a dollar, like allegedly. Tether. Tether has a different audit trail that we won't go into, but there's questions about Tether. Whether the last time that they did a report, I think they have a lot of mortgage-backed securities and all these other things that are backing. It's not dollar for dollar, but they do have some dollars for it. USDC and True USD do have dollars backing it, and then other projects like Pax and XDAI have other things backing it, like Ether. But it's you need to go into all the different stable coins and see what they're backed. But it's definitely worth talking about considering what happened the last few days. All right, what other questions we got here? Let's see. Lots of people chatting. Sorry. All right. I won't mention this movie, but people should go see it. I have seen it already, or they did a very good job with it, I think. I think that there's posts on that throughout Telegram. It should not be hard to find. And it was a very fair assessment, I think, of that movie. But I won't, since I'm free on YouTube, I'm not going to go much further on that. I don't see any more questions. So whoever's watching out there, I see they've got 13 people in the chat. So we need a few more questions. Like, what do you want to hear us talk about? What do you want us to hear comments on? Let's see. Am I the only one who feels today? Let's see. All right. I have no idea what this is. Anyone heard this story? Obviously, I've been knee deep in crypto all day. So am I the only one who feels today like the passenger who bravely landed a plane in Florida today was while his pilot became incapacitated? I don't know this. Joanna, you were in Florida. I had to put you on the spot. Did you hear this story?
Oh, no. I've been researching this whole over-the-counter, trying to go down the rabbit hole thing.
Yeah, I don't know this story, Anna, but we'll have to figure that out. But apparently with the help of an instructor, they were able to land the pilot. Maybe it was a trainee or they were getting lessons. So, yeah. All right. So, like, while you guys think of more questions, and you guys can type them in the chat box and we'll come back to them. But we got about 30 minutes still here to talk about various different things. And I know it's been a rough week. And if you're not following me on Instagram, please do so. I try to post some more motivational stuff. You got to step back and keep perspective. Even if if this is your first rodeo where this is the first real down market, like you got in January, February, March, I'm sorry to tell you that sometimes it gets this way. And you just got to roll with it. And this is why, as hard as it is to keep cash on hand, it's very hard to do because you see sales and you're like, I want to go in. And then you go in and then it goes down further. So are you catching a falling knife or is this the bottom? So what I like to look to do, and I would draw it, but when you have a chart, what you want to look for is you want to see a reversal on the chart and the price coming up, hopefully on volume. So that means people not only buying, but a significant number of people are buying. So when volume comes in, volume gives you an idea of how much sentiment, how much support there really is. So if you see, like if the price goes down, we get price action all the time because crypto never sleeps. But if you look on the weekends, you often see price moves. And the first thing I look at is like, what's the volume? Is there much volume or not? Usually in the weekend, there's not. So I don't usually believe the weekend price. It's just people doing whatever they want to do the weekend, and then it'll correct. Usually Sunday night when Asia wakes up, they'll correct the price to wherever it's supposed to be. But and then volume will come in from Asia Sunday night, and then Monday morning the East Coast will wake up, and then things will get rolling, and Europe will be up. So things will really get rolling by the time the conventional stock markets open for the U.S., you've had Asia, Europe, and the East Coast already been pinging you on crypto for the last 12 hours. So things will have moved at that point. And remember, like the Mondays start much earlier for Asia than they do for the East Coast or even Europe. So we're almost last. I'd say the Pacific time zone is pretty much last, unfortunately, because there's not much left of California except for, say, Hawaii to catch up for the rest of the balance of the day. All right.
And can I plug you, Jeff?
Sure. You can.
If you haven't scheduled a consultation with Jeff over your portfolio just to get comfortable with your situation, where, your goals are located, how you're wanting to position yourself in the market, get with Jeff. He's really good at analyzing portfolios and, getting you where you want to be. And the other thing is with Crypto Confidential, tons of information. Patrick reminded me this afternoon, what's going on. If you're involved in Crypto Confidential, you're already in the know. So, instead of having to listen to all this stuff that's not bringing out factual content to back it up with proof, you're in, talking with these guys and basically knowing how you're positioned. So, what goes down, you just, as they say, hodl, and knowing that it's going to go back up. But as this incident that happened today, knowing, your perspective as for each project you're investing in, if you're not knowing what the project's about, that's on you. That's not on Jeff. And all he's doing is helping you analyze your portfolio and getting you positioned, because when this market runs, you're going to be thanking Jeff later, not now. So that's what I just wanted to share.
Elke's comment, buy while there's blood in the streets. Now you guys know what we're talking about. For those of you who are new to the cryptos game, you haven't been in it when there's been blood in the streets, this is what we're talking about. This is the blood in the streets. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. When you think it can't go lower, when you think it can't go lower and it does, like somebody said that Luna's down 90% and it can go down another 90%. Believe it or not, it can happen. So hopefully it doesn't, but I mean, this is what happens. Like sometimes you buy something and it still slides down. So that's why how do you find the bottom? And I'm just telling you, if you want to try and find the bottom, look for when the price goes up again on volume. And it just, no one times the bottom perfect. But if you want to say, like, I hope that the bottom was already in, look for the price to start to reverse, go upwards on volume. All right. Mike asked, why did Divi price plunge with so many hodling? Well, it really is it's a liquidity issue. It's like so there's always a buyer and a seller in the market. All you need is one of each. And if there's none, then the price will continue to move until it finds a buyer and a seller to match up. That's the purpose of a market maker. So there's no one, let's just say no one in Divi selling except for Patrick and I need to sell Divi. But he only wants to buy it, and he's the only buyer on the planet at 1 penny. Well, if I'm the only seller, I have to eventually cut my price down to a penny because I've got to find that one seller. But if there's more sellers, if Joanna wants to buy it at 2 cents, then I only need to cut down to 2 cents. And then Patrick makes a decision if he wants to jump in front of Joanna or not. But that's how a market works. You don't need a lot of people to move the price. And if people want to make a move, especially in a market like today, you're looking not only at the price in dollars, but the price in sats. And if Divi's going down, everything's going down, things tend to trend with each other. Unless there's
the other reason why that happens oftentimes is people will look at pairs. So if Bitcoin is going from 40,000 to 60,000, Divi's probably going to start moving up because people are going to look at the opportunity to buy some Divi, and that's going to put some buy pressure on the market. So you see the same thing happening when Bitcoin starts tanking. People start looking for opportunities to sell something that's high into Bitcoin. So if your Divi, like our Divi, stayed pretty solid at 5-6 cents there with Bitcoin at 30 grand. So that didn't kill us too much. But then when you started seeing the market just hemorrhage the way it did today, it was inevitable for people to also start trading out to get onto some other pairs that they might like Theta, for example, at $1.
Yeah, and there were some things that were moving down 10%. Some things were down 30, 40%. So you need to look at relative moves on days like this and just say, this is why you have a portfolio of 10 or 20 coins, maybe hopefully not too many beyond that. But let's just say you have 10 coins and one is down 50%, but one's only down 2%. Well, they're both down. But if you like both of those, you could sell some of the one that's doing much better, only down 2%, and get some of that one that's on sale that's down 50%. Even though both of them are down, you wind up with more coins, and as the coins go down, when prices go up in terms of dollars, you make more dollars. When prices go down in terms of dollars, you make more coins if you're good at swapping them out. Okay. Oh, one of my favorite topics. Any developments with Veri and the companies Reggie sent notices to? Well, there's another interview that's going to be scheduled for next week that I'm doing with Reggie, and it could be a little bit more, I'll say, lively. But he's putting out reports on potential infractions or infringements on his patent, and he's putting out reports of either from Veritasium or from the very DAO that's helping with some of the research, and it's pointing out that potential what we believe to, or I say we, what the Veritasium group believes are, I'll call them infractions or violations of the infringements on the patent. So they've tried to let these companies know to take action, but they've been basically ignoring those. So now the next step is to either litigate or put more pressure on them, and that something needs to give in that regard. So that could be where this heads. There's not been much as far as litigation. Not that I would even have privilege to seeing that the DAO does not have visibility to that, nor should they. The DAO's purpose for Veritasium is only for educating and to try to promote partnerships. Now, I have a different viewpoint of some of that because I think the partnerships are not furthered by poking holes or going on the crypto Twitter and saying, "Hey, these guys are infringing." But I understand they're pretty much an impasse because a lot of parties don't want to address it. So there's going to have to be more conversations, or there's going to have to be litigation, or possibly both, to really move this ball forward. And I think that's really where things are heading. So we'll see how that goes. Other questions here. Yeah, this is another supposition here where President Bukele from El Salvador met with the president of Mexico. And I don't know who that is. I don't know his name. But there's potential that they could be talking about Bitcoin and how it would be a benefit to Mexico. I'm sure that El Salvador has plenty to tell them. I know that there's lots of talk in Cuba. There's lots of talk in Panama that's looking to, like, they're not making it legal tender in Panama, but they're going to permit it to be accepted. And for whatever reason, people think that's better. I'm not sure if that's better or worse, but between that and Central African Republic, more and more countries are getting more deeper into this, and it's going to be the third world countries. It's going to be, or the second world countries, which aren't talked about a lot, but I think that's where Portugal actually lines up. But Portugal and Madeiras, there's lots of countries that are out there, and this is a global phenomenon, and that's why I talk about it a lot on my channel and also on Instagram. You've got to watch globally. It's such a bigger impact. Like, we're privileged in the United States that we are able to get bank accounts relatively easy. Most of the world can't. So they have to deal with not being banked and how they can work through their economy. And all these different countries are going to be hopping on this bandwagon because it's a benefit to them, and it helps their citizens of those countries. So, all right, what else?
I mean, look at the mayor of Miami, and then California. They're coming out with it now.
Yeah, but the regulations. So the city coins are different. You need to really look at the white papers because Philly's proposed one, Chicago, Miami. Miami looks good. I think Miami looks okay, but I think Miami's vying to be the capital for the U.S., but also we have global capitals trying to form as well. El Salvador wants to be there. I know Dubai wants to be in the conversation. I think is it Davos, or is it somewhere in Switzerland was pushing for a while. I know Lisbon wants to be there. There's lots of other countries. Singapore was trying to be there, but now their legislation is catching up, and it's actually not making it as viable. But there are lots of places around the globe that want to be like the place to go for Bitcoin. But there are plenty of havens that are developing over time now. And there's going to be more and more as more people see the benefits. Like when El Salvador gets to show like how well they've been doing, it's not even been a year yet. I think it was last September they started. So now we had El Salvador, now Panama, now Central African Republic. We have all these other countries that are looking at it. We have like Dubai. We hear stuff from Dubai like every other week. It's just getting to be bigger and bigger across the globe. So, but Mexico would be a very interesting partner for Bitcoin. Not just opening the gates to the rest of Latin America, but also, and Rio and Brazil are big too, but Mexico being on the doorstep of the United States and being a NAFTA country and one of the biggest trading partners for the United States, that would be pretty significant. So we'll be interested in that. The California rules and the Governor Newsom and those people are whatever. I don't give much credence to what they're doing out there. All right. What else do we have for questions? People picking up coins. That's good. All right. Elke has a question. Do you think part of the reason Divi dropped, people had margin calls, other coins need to close some positions? Well, that could very well be. I know that as things slipped down and a lot of people like lost out with Luna and other things. Yes, as prices go down, as Bitcoin goes down, margin calls do get hit, and stop limits do get triggered, and people get stopped out of their positions, which is why it's dangerous to leave a stop position on an open market, because some market makers can see it and it's like, well, there's lots of people that get stopped out. If we drive the price down to 29.2, let's drive it down to 29.2, stop them all out, get all those positions, and then we can move the price back up. That's another way that they manipulate the markets. So again, this is where in an ideal world, you have, going back to Veritasium, you have a Veritasium exchange that's a completely free open market, or a decentralized exchange where you don't have, like, no one has that visibility. But we don't have a true open and free market at this point. So it's tricky. All right. I don't know what this was for, but thank you, Mike. Always good to hear that we're doing a good job. Let's see. Best layer one right now. Interesting. I would have to go with, I would have to ask the question of, for what purpose? For a store of value, Bitcoin. For DeFi, I'd say Ethereum. It's where everything is. And same with NFTs. But for transactions and speed of use, I could say you make an argument for Cosmos. You could also make an argument for Atom or Matic. I think all those are strong layer one. And Matic is a layer one. They're layer one and layer two. So basically anyone with their own blockchain could be considered a layer one. Theta is a layer one. But there's this, the use case for Theta is not, we're not really using it yet. Theta TV is the closest thing we have. But when the Theta ecosystem gets built out and people start doing VR to the home, then you really see the power of Theta. We're not there yet. But that's a good question. Like, I love like platforms, and that's what a layer one is. Like, give me something that has an ecosystem, like a Cardano or a Zilliqa or a Polkadot, things you can build on top of. That's great. But unfortunately, Luna had one too. That didn't go so well. So, yes, we did cover Luna way too much. Yes, but I don't know. Patrick, is it above 80 cents? I'll let you look at that while I look for more questions. I need more questions from the peanut gallery out there. So we got about 15 minutes left. Anyone have any more questions?
Yeah, and keep in mind that the Polkadot ecosystem is pretty, for me, my opinion is it looks really solid.
Yeah, it's 81 cents.
81 cents, good. Cardano is about 1,000 projects now as well. So Cardano, I posted this, and this is the topic that I posted on for Crypto Confidential, and then we go back and put that banner up as I get used to promoting stuff. So if you go to cryptoconfidential.news, Joanna helped make that site, which is my reference to go over to Crypto Confidential. And that my article this month was about, I think it was price and value are not the same thing. And if people haven't heard me explain that in 60 seconds, allow me to try. This, like, the value of something isn't always reflected in the price. And the way you find real wealth is by finding the value of something before it's priced in. So if you found Google when it was $1, or Tesla, or Facebook, or whatever, you made out like a bandit. Amazon, same thing for Ethereum. If you got in early on Bitcoin or Ethereum, but if you find a project that is poised to go up and be really strong before it's priced in, and I'm making the argument right now for Cardano, I think that you got a good thing, because the price of Cardano is low. But they have 1,000 projects about to launch. They have an ecosystem that they have a roadmap. So they're going to check off a few boxes this year to expand the speed, get the DeFi platform going, get the exchanges going. There's a lot of stuff going on for Cardano. They can push it into $3, $4, $5 pretty easily this year. Now it's probably like 50 cents right now, 50, 60 cents for Cardano. So, and I would say the same thing about Matic. Matic has a ton going for it, and it's way too cheap. Same for Theta. There's a lot of good, strong projects that are just cheap. Even Atom at $10, that's too cheap for that project.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of overreaction in the marketplace right now. And if you have, look, this is why they say keep some cash on the side. I know it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. But the second best thing you can do is take all of your holdings and compare them against one another and saying, well, I don't have cash on the side, but I have money in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin went down 10%, but Matic went down 50%. it's a good time to move some Bitcoin into Matic, not financial advice, but you get more bang for your buck by moving into Matic at that point. All right. I would hold off on that, Rick, but we'll see.
And other projects we haven't even mentioned was Avalanche and Chainlink.
Yeah, Chainlink is a layer. It's not even a layer 2. It rides on the Ethereum platform, but it does tie to other platforms as well. But it's whenever you invest in a coin that's not its own platform, just keep in mind you're also tying to whatever platform it runs on. So the investment in Link is also an investment in Ethereum to an extent. Similar if you're investing to, I don't even know what I'm trying to think of what else might run on a Persistence. It runs on Atom. There's another one. So, but Litecoin, Bitcoin, Digibyte, they have their own blockchains. But if you have a project you really like on the Polkadot ecosystem or the Cardano ecosystem, you're investing in the ecosystem plus that project. So, okay. So Mark asked, is Litecoin a great transition coin? I've seen people that pointing at Litecoin as a good acquisition point right now. Like the chart looks good. But a transition coin, if you mean to like from moving from one coin to another, yes. The coins I'd like to, if I'm gonna grab something for fiat and then flip it to something else, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Atom, those are probably my favorites because they're so readily available and they're cheap to move and they're fast to move. So that to me makes them very easy to use in like a simple swap or something like that, and get those coins and just and move on. But yes, Mike, Bitcoin is definitely a layer 1. That means it's got its own blockchain and you can build on top of it. So the Lightning Network is the layer 2 that runs on top of the Bitcoin layer 1. So that's just the most common example of a layer 2, layer 1. Another one is Ethereum with Matic running on top of it and doing aggregating transactions. That's sort of what Loopring does as well. Cardano has a huge upgrade coming in June. I can never remember the names of the stuff. Cardano has this is one of my beefs with Cardano, and I've known many people like this. Like engineers try to be the smartest guy in the room all the time, and they named this stuff even there's a story even behind what Cardano's ADA. It's named for Ada Lovelace, which was one of the first mathematicians, and no one knows who she is, but that's how Cardano's named ADA. Again, it's a story you would have to go and find out to understand. But just like all these releases and all the names of the releases and the roadmap for Cardano, good luck remembering what all these releases are called and what their purpose is, because they're just named for previous philosophers, mathematicians, scientists, whatever. It makes no sense to what they are. I can't hear you, Patrick.
The next one's called the Vasel hard fork, I'm pretty sure, is the next one coming up. And it is supposed to address scalability. She's right. Yeah.
So they've got a couple of releases coming out this year. So, and they're on track. They've been doing pretty good with the release. The only hiccup was probably the Sunday swap, but that was a bandwidth issue for their DeFi platform. So, it's everything that comes out. You have to remember, everything that comes out in this space is a test. Like everybody, like there are test platforms, but everything is tested until it gets like you can only test things so much until it gets out of the big marketplace, and then you change the dynamics entirely. Like the amount of volume that hit Luna in the last couple of days could not be tested or simulated on a test network. You would just overwhelm things. So that's why they try to do as much testing as possible, and they try to replicate it and make it as real world as possible. But there are always things that you encounter in the wide open that you won't encounter in the test environment, and that's you hope you catch each corner case and every possibility, but sometimes things happen, and that's why projects like Solana shut the network off from time to time, which is also not cool. So, yeah. How do I feel about Digibyte? Well, I know that Economic Ninja just did another video about Digibyte. He's a big proponent of them. The thing I like Digibyte, and I consider Digibyte like the grandson of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, and then Litecoin, and then Digibyte. And Digibyte took the best of Litecoin and Bitcoin. Digibyte has 5 different algorithms for reaching consensus and staking and building new coins. It's a good platform. The issue I have with Digibyte, it's got a good community. I have 2 issues with Digibyte. First off, the previous leadership, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Didn't get him on Binance. It was issues. And now he's more out of the picture. He's back in, but he's less abrasive, and they're onto more platforms. But the bigger issue right now is that what is the impetus for me to want to go and need to go get Digibyte? There's nothing out there in the marketplace that says I need Digibyte. If there was the Anthem ID, if it was an NFT platform, if it was a killer app that says I can only use this with Digibyte, then I would be like, okay, now Digibyte has a call to action, a reason to go get it. And that's what we've been talking about Divi a lot too. Like they need something to like say, why do I go need Divi? But if I can only interact with La Liga and buy certain NFTs or buy tickets or something with Divi coin or with their on their platform, now you have a call to action to say, I need Divi because of this. So every project needs a reason to tell the masses, like, you're going to want to go and get this coin so you can go get this. So if you want to get more T fuel so you can get a certain, like the Secret Pineapple Society NFTs, there's your call to action. But you need a call to action on each platform for people to go and say, yeah, I need to go get that coin. OMB, let's see. Yes, Jared Tate. Jared Tate is like, that's the guy. He's big on Digibyte and he will always come out. But if you go look at the chart for Digibyte, you can see like it's pretty much a flat line and just kind of rolls off. But occasionally there's a spike, and that spike is tied to some kind of news event. So this is Divi's the similar way. They had a huge spike when they announced the Liga last December. But you get these huge spikes from news events, but it's not a consistent kick. It's like it pushes the car and it rolls for a little while, then it stops again, and they need something else to kick it. So they got to get something to kick it and keep it going. To the Vasel hard fork, yes. Let's see. ADA is a broken chain. I have no idea what James would say that. I did not see him say that. By the way, that's a good channel. It's a lot to take in. There's just too many good channels now. You can't watch everybody at all times. But I'd say Invest Answers does a good job. I don't know why ADA is a broken chain. If you just want to drop me a message and show me that clip or something, I can go take a look at it. Rick, what's the likelihood that what happened with UST can happen with other stablecoins? Well, we kind of went over that earlier, Rick. It's already happened with a number of other coins, mostly algorithmic ones as they're testing them all. But I'm still convinced that this is an organized attack to try and make regulation and central bank digital currencies look better. But we'll see. How is the dollar getting stronger right now with 8.3 CPI and the Fed only raising rates?
It's not getting stronger. It's just what is it? The least smelling turd in the bucket.
Yes,
it's dead.
As Ben might say, or also the tallest midget in the room. So it's the least of many evils, and the reason there's a couple of reasons why the dollar is getting stronger. First off, there's still international contracts that require the dollar, as well as bonds. The bonds, typically when there's an international bond, it needs to be repaid in the native currency. So there's a lot that you need euros for certain bonds, you need dollars for certain bonds. But the dollar is stronger because it's still the world reserve currency, even though there's sidebar deals going on all the time. But the dollar is still the king right now, and that's what people need to transact on a number of different goods. And they're still doing transactions from country to country. It's still going to be the number one. But it's the question of, okay, so let's just say you're in, I don't even know. Let's say I'm in South Africa. So am I going to use the rand or am I going to use the dollar if I'm going to buy something from the United States? I got to use the dollar. So, but maybe I do a deal in rand with someone else that's more local and they'll take the rand. Or maybe I'll go and exchange the rand for a ruble and get the ruble and deal with Russia. So there are more avenues opening up, but for the most part, it's going to be the dollar because that's still the number one. If currency were a language, it would be English. Like the dollar would be English. It's the most common one throughout the globe. It's what most people use, and they've got to use it until other things that get more native and more accepted. So it's just one. People aren't going to go and get euros now. That in Japan's hurting. But they still want more dollars. Everybody pretty much that's hurting in the first world wants more dollars. They don't even want the euro, even though the euro is used more in the SWIFT system than the dollar. But both of them are dying, both of them are hurting, and it's going to take a while. They're just going to limp along until all the fiat system is just dried up. Where's the bottom? Where's the bottom? It's I've been looking for the bottom of many a glass lately. Patrick, you're on mute again.
I'd say $0 for Bitcoin.
That is the bottom, yes. I would say the most likely bottom for Bitcoin right now seems to be 28, 29,000. And if that happens again, it'll be 20. If they go through that, it'll be down to 20. But a lot of people are saying they're defending 28, 29. That was a good point of resistance. That could be where we are. We don't know. It could go up from here. They could go crashing down again. I remember before we crossed 10, like into the 14,000, started running up past 2020. I remember when we're like, are we ever going to get to 10,000 or get over it? And there was that debate for many a time. And there was like, our miner's going to shut off below 6,000. This is always a point of debate. Where is the bottom? Where are we going to end? And that's where you just got to look at the charts and just say, I think we're at the bottom, but you can't. You have to plan for both possibilities because it can and does do that. So I don't know if we're ever going to get below $20,000 again, but it's the possibility is greater than 0%. You just don't know. Yes, I think Logan nailed it. The dollar is only and it's Devin. I'm sorry, Devin Logan. The dollar is only stronger because the current other countries, the other countries are worse or less than the dollar. Yes. And yes, all the fiat currencies are basically collapsing across the globe. People just don't realize it. Can you give me your opinion on XRP? If the Fed does survive, will it compete with Bitcoin? So that's two different questions, but I'll give them both a shot. XRP is the whipping boy for the SEC right now. First it was Reggie of Veritasium. Now it's XRP. It doesn't look good for the SEC, but I think, and I came up with this thought the other day, is that it's possible that XRP, the lawsuit is being dragged out because some of the globalists want XRP to be used. So XRP is going to be harder to use while XRP is in litigation with the SEC. That said, though, 90% of the world doesn't care what the SEC thinks because that's only in the United States. So most of the transactions in XRP happen outside of the SEC. So there could be international transactions going on in XRP right now, and we don't have visibility on it, but it could be happening. It's just a matter of analyzing the XRP network. So I think XRP has potential to go up and be used well, as does its sister coin XLM. Both of them have good possibility. And if XRP is tied up, don't be surprised if XLM picks up the slack. And I think it was Jed McCaleb. I think that's the right name. I think he invented both. Same coder. That's why they're similar. When he left XRP, he wrote XLM, basically the same code. It's just there's just no central Ripple type organization. It's decentralized, and I think it does survive. If the Fed does survive, we'll compete with Bitcoin. Who's to say we'll compete with Bitcoin? You can conjecture a number of different projects that could eventually surpass Bitcoin, but for right now, until Bitcoin really becomes that world reserve currency, it has the potential to become. I think that nothing's going to surpass Bitcoin at this point. Everybody's talking about adoption in terms of Bitcoin, not adoption in terms of anything else. With Bitcoin the dominance is probably like 50, 60%. I haven't looked lately, but it's certainly the most dominant coin, and it is the brand name and will be the number one coin probably for the next 3 years at least. And that's not to say that another coin can't come up with a better use case and just start to pass it. But let's see. Do you see Bitcoin getting back to 60K? Actually, if you look at the charts, Bitcoin should be $110,000 right now. That's my take on it, because I'm just looking at it. If you look at the weekly chart and you just look at it, I'd say it's a double bottom pennant with a flag, and if you just do the metrics on that, it should be going to about $100,000 to $125,000 based on all the metrics, based on the supply, based on the hash rate. But they're holding it down, and why are they holding it down? So that the powers that be probably can get some more. But I can't prove any of that. But it makes too much rational sense not to think it that way. Let's see. All right, we're at time, and I'm going to close with Cardano Anna's thanking all of us to be here. I want to thank you guys for being here. I think you guys did some great job with some questions, prompted good dialogue and good conversation. And if you missed anything, of course, go back and look. As always, I always appreciate when you stop by. Let's see if I can get these banners back up. Let's see.
I just want to say thank you, Jeff, for inviting me on the call. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Sophie. And
I see you, Patrick.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Patrick, as always.
You guys.
CryptoConfidential.news for more on Crypto Confidential, and also Litecoin Leader for all the different resources. 100% free, and thanks to Joanna, the site works very well. And also follow my Instagram. I do that personally, and Joanna does a great job with my Twitter, but I'm starting to use my own personal account a little more too. We'll see how that goes. So that's it today. That's been an hour. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm going to wrap things up. If you missed it, just leave some comments, leave some questions, and of course, I always welcome seeing you. But with all that said, I'm going to close the door on the bureau, say follow leader one last time, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.